Well, good morning, YouTube friends and family, and welcome to Vlogmas episode 3. So today we are going to talk about inexpensive, frugal ways that you can wrap packages and still make them look pretty. So I've shared in previous videos that wrapping is not my strong point. So this morning I got my tape out, I got the paper out, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this, right? So about 2 pieces of tape in, the first roll of tape ran out. No problem, I have another one in the junk drawer. Yeah, so 2 pieces off of that, and it was empty as well. So that shows you how little I ever wrap presents. But I will share with you, I had some Scotch permanent double-sided tape. And this actually worked super well, and it made the packages look very, very nice. It's a little more difficult, like if something's sticking up, you can't just tape it down. But it worked out because I did not want to have to go to the store this morning. So one of the reasons that I think I'm not very good at wrapping presents, other than lack of practice, to be quite honest about it, is all of my growing up years, my dad was the expert package wrapper. And tomorrow, keep me in your thoughts, is the 10-year anniversary of when my dad passed away. My dad died of prostate cancer, just to give you some information. So I know it's going to be a really tough day for my mom. So particularly keep her in your prayers if you would. But back to Dad. So he only wrapped the lids, and he did an amazing job. So then my mom would take the package and make these big elaborate bows, and they usually had a theme, and I'm like, here's your gift bag. So I still have 2 boxes that my daddy wrapped. So this is one of them, and each year I like to find something for my son that will fit in the box because he was very, very close to my dad. And this is one of the bows, and you can see how blingy and beautiful it is that my mom made. So every year when we exchange gifts, I gather up any of the unwanted bows and save them from the trash so that I don't have to make them myself. So that's an idea. Another thing I wanted to mention is, and I meant to do this when I did the gift bag video, and it totally slipped my mind. If you don't have tissue paper, there is a great solution. You can use old gift wrap or wrinkled gift wrap or wrinkled package paper. Newspaper doesn't work so well, but run it through your paper shredder, and then you have all this delightful shredded paper that you can put in your gift bag, and you don't even need tissue. That said, yes, I iron tissue from year to year so that I can recycle it. So my mom won't be watching this video. I will make sure that she doesn't. So I want to share with you something that I made. And I've debated on doing videos on crocheting, but as a matter of fact, I am not an expert crocheter, but I do very much enjoy it and find it relaxing. So this isn't a gift bag because it's rather delicate. But what I made her, get it right side up here, and it has a loop to hang, is, and I'll hold it up close, a crocheted snowflake wreath. And then I took, my mom used to be very into making jewelry. So she had tons and tons and tons of beads, which she gave me. So I took some of what I know to be her favorite beads and put on there. I used some, I don't know if you can see it, stickles, some glitter glue. Then I just went to the dollar store. And when I say dollar store, I mean Dollar General. And I bought for $1 these little silver balls. Some are frosted, some are shiny. And she does not have a wreath, a Christmas wreath for her front door. So I know that she'll be delighted. How I got the snowflakes stiff like this is I just mixed equal parts of white glue and water, dipped them. I pinned them out on a board, and like cardboard, and just let them dry. So I thought it turned out pretty lovely, and I think that she'll be pleased. So my mom is a big fan of bling. So even though this year I'm trying to go with a very natural theme, I'm going to have to take her packages up a notch a little bit. So I have a couple wrapping ideas that I want to share with you for my mom, and then we'll kind of switch gears and do a little bit more rustic look as I decorate the packages that I made for my son. So one of the things I did want to mention to you as well, I have a couple vintage reproduction ephemera or postcard books. So you can see these are quite old-fashioned. And what I like to do with them so that, you know, they last forever basically is I copy them onto cardstock. So, oh goodness. I guess I could stand up, couldn't I? Sorry about that. But I just put them on a thicker cardstock, and then I cut them out so that I can use these as gift tags or to decorate packages. So I have one that's vintage postcards, one that's just vintage Christmas ephemera. And it's really neat when you have someone in your family who is in their later years, and particularly someone who has memory impairment, dementia, mild cognitive impairment, Alzheimer's, whatever you want to call it. Although they may not remember what they had for breakfast, images like that can really speak to them. So that's what I am using on my mom's packages in hopes of evoking some really neat memories. So let me swing you over here and I'll show you a couple of my decorating ideas. And please ignore the mess. I think I pulled out everything that I possibly could to do my decor so that I would be creative. So, alrighty. Here is just an inexpensive package of doilies. The paper, you can find these usually in like the cake decorating or even the wedding section of, I think I got these from Walmart, extremely inexpensive. So one of the things that you can do, and I have not glued these down, is, I think you can see this, you can put down a doily and then spray with some liquid paint, or you can like stencil it. This did not come out quite as pretty as I wanted. So what I decided to do is to just take an actual doily, some gold poinsettias from Walmart, $1 a pick, and then just a cute little vintage Christmas card. And I'm going to use hot glue since I don't have tape. And I'm going to glue this together. And at the end, I'll do a shot of everything once I've finished it up. So that's one idea. Do you have any doilies? You could use cloth doilies too, and just tie them on with a ribbon or some type of string. Another thing I wanted to tell you is, you know, the pretty flocked and foiled paper that you see every year at Christmas time? That paper is not recyclable. So there's something about the foil and the flocking that eliminates it from being something that can be recycled. So I read a statistic as I was doing a little research that said enough Christmas wrapping that is not recyclable goes into the landfill, and it's big enough to go around the world 9 times. So I love planet Earth. I want to save the planet if I can. So what I'm using this year is just plain brown craft paper. And yeah, don't look at my, my wrapping. But actually, it's not too bad. I really like the look of the double-sided tape because you don't have tape on the outside. So this is completely biodegradable. I have this color and then a black that has a little tiny bit of the brown craft paper stripe in it that I'm going to use for a lot of my son's packages. So this is a great way to not fill up the landfill. You can also, if you're so inclined, save those wrappings run them through your paper shredder. You might need to take the tape off, but then use it as gift bag fillers. So sometimes just something really simple. This is some, and like I said, Mom likes bling. This is some glittery ribbon that I happen to have on hand, and it did come from Dollar General as well. I cut the ends so that, they're fancy like a banner. And just putting that ribbon off center can give your package a really pretty look. I had a pick, and this actually came out of, I remember getting this out of a flower arrangement that I received one Christmas. And then I will just glue on another one of the vintage postcards. So I think that will delight. And basically, I did this for pennies. So, second idea. So hang tight. I am going to hot glue these all together, and then I'm going to show you some other ideas that I'm going to use for my son. All right, well, we're back. I did a lovely video, but I thought that the video was running and it was not. So I'm going to have to show you some completed items and talk about how I did them. So first and foremost, I realized I forgot to tell you where I am, and you may be like, where are you? You don't look like, you're in your normal space. So I'm actually in my first floor master. So this house has 4 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms. So lots and lots of space, but I've always used this. This is just a table, like a kitchen table and chairs. I've always used this as my home office when I was working. And I also used it as my showroom, if you will, for my soap business back before COVID. Now I don't want random people in and out of the house, so we do porch pickups, deliveries, mail, etc. So I would like to better utilize this space. And when my mom is, quote unquote, done with it, that's what we say instead of when my mom passes away. She has a beautiful, beautiful sleigh bed that I would like to actually put in here. It's in her spare bedroom right now, but this is a pretty large room, and I think it would just be lovely. So the one odd thing about the room is it does have a double closet, but it has this alcove, and I'm going to say it's like 8 feet long by 2.5 feet wide. And it's kind of wasted space right now. When I was facing the other way, it was always my backdrop for our Zoom calls, our video calls. I just have a printer and a table there, but certainly could be rearranged. So I've ordered myself some heavy-duty shelving that's almost floor to ceiling that I'm going to use for my pantry. So in spite of the size of this house, my pantry is like the size of a Kleenex. So I am going to put together those 2 shelving units, and then I just purchased an inexpensive tension rod. I'm going to hang a curtain on it in front of it that kind of matches, the red and gold type decor, and that will keep my food protected from the light, but also give me a great place for my overstock. My garage is too cold in the winter and too warm in the summer. So stay tuned. I will probably be doing a video just to show you how I'm going to set it up, not so much to be about my prepping, because I'm sure you've all seen the videos going around in the discussions about the dangers of sharing how much food and supplies that you have on hand, because if things get really bad, then you become a target. So anyway, back to gift wrapping. So I went online. I love free printables, and I found these cute little farm-looking tags. So I've printed some of those that I'm going to use. And then I also found some Rae Dunn inspired tags. So if you don't know who Rae Dunn is, she's a designer. She's known for this all capital, very simple, black and white, cream and white style of writing. And I just thought those were really neat, and they fit with my rustic theme. So for the price of a piece of cardstock and a tiny, tiny bit of ink, I've printed some of those off that I'm going to be using for various gift tags. So the first package that I did is the black with the little tiny, you can't really see it on the camera, but has a little bit of the craft paper stripe to it. And I just took some craft pom-poms. I did 4, 3, 2, and 1, made a Christmas tree out of it, tied some raffia on there, and cut out the Mary Ray Dunn ornament. I inked around the edges just to give it a little distinction, and I thought this made a really, really cute gift for my son, so I think he'll enjoy it. So let me set this over here. The second thing I wanted to show you is I am using the gift bag that we made together. I did iron the tissue, smoothed it out. So this held something that I handmade for him, so I wanted to put it in a handmade gift bag. So I am using some gift bags, but I did a little better this year on wrapping. Another gift that I had for him, I did not have a box that was appropriate size. So I just took some fabric that I had on hand, and this is heavy like upholstery fabric, but you could certainly use like an old flannel shirt, any kind of fabric that you have on hand. If something that is no longer wearable or donatable, if you donate to, you know, Goodwill or a thrift store, you could certainly cut it up and use it as wrapping. And I didn't pin it, I didn't glue it, I just tied a ribbon around it. So I thought that came out really nice. The next package that I'm doing, I just took, and again, I'm using this black craft paper, a couple colors of ribbon. I just tied them in a simple knot. I cut the ribbon a little bit too short, so I'll have to fuss with that a little bit. And I cut a piece off of my garland because it'll never be missed, and stuck in there for a little greenery. And then I'm going to add the bright tag to it. So how cute is that? And just very, very little bit of ribbon. And all of these ribbons did come from the dollar store, I believe. It's really neat if you use different widths of ribbon and layer them up. Doesn't cost a ton, but it definitely adds to your package. So this one, I am actually going to use an idea that I used in my downstairs restroom. And I don't know if you can see, yeah, I've kind of penciled in. I'm not the most artistic person in the world, but I'm actually going to draw this in black Sharpie, and then I'll show you what's next. So hang tight. Okay, well, don't judge the artwork. I drew like a little car on this package, tied a non-vintage bottle brush tree with some red and white striped baker's twine, and just wrote to and from. So this just took a very quick time. Usually it would be materials that you had on hand, and you can buy sets of the bottle brush trees like at Walmart, at the dollar store, whatever, for very inexpensive. So that's my nod to the bottle brush tree. For this package, this is actually hard. It's not in a box. The item itself is hard. So what I did is I took a very large stamp, put black permanent ink on the stamp, and I used the Finesse, stamped on the Santa, just took some regular, this is kitchen twine, tied on a red bow, and I thought that turned out very cute too. And again, super simple, but it looks like you put some effort into it. So the very final package we're going to do is using embossing powder. And if you've never used embossing powder, it is a glittery type substance that, here's a jar, or here's a red jar. You use a special kind of wet ink that stays wetter longer. And then you can stamp, dust the powder on, shake it off, and then you'll use a heat gun to set the powder, and it turns into this beautiful glossy type finish. Most videos that you watch, if you've watched any wrapping videos, pardon me, they actually stamp the paper, then wrap it. I did not do that because I have enough trouble wrapping without trying to figure out where all of the stamps are going to appear. So the final package I'm going to do in just a moment. So hang tight and I'll bring back. All right, well, we're getting ready to decorate our final package now. And I have chosen a Christmas ornament, a stamp to use for this particular package. A lot of times you'll see videos where they're stamping the paper, then wrapping. But because I want to do a focal point, I knew my wrapping skills were not such that I could get the focal point in the right spot. It would probably end up on the bottom, my luck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a wet stamping ink. This happens to be an Anna Griffith, and I apologize for the rattle. I have a vintage wooden sign hanging on my wall, and when big trucks go by, it makes the sign rattle. My goodness. Okay, so I'm going to stamp with the wet ink, and then I'm going to use an embossing powder. So if you've done any scrapbooking, you've probably stamped and embossed things or card making. So you stamp, and while the ink is wet, you put on the embossing powder, shake off the excess, and then use a heat gun to melt the embossing powder, and it produces a beautiful glossy type image. So I'm kind of debating between, do I want to use red or do I want to use the silver? So, let's go red. Red is pretty. Red is festive. So how I like to ink my stamps is turn them upside down. Oops. Maybe don't press quite as hard as I just did. But you need to get the image pretty gluey. Pretty inky. Because you want it nice and wet. And you need your embossing powder at hand, and yipper, this is messy. So I'm going to stamp and just press down once. That is not the greatest image. And I don't know if this embossing powder will stick, so let's see. So I'm just going to shake off the excess. So yeah, it's stuck. And my cord on my heat gun is short, so let's put it down on the chair. And melt that embossing powder into the paper. So it may be hard for you to see, maybe if I do it like this, it actually creates a 3D shiny raised image. So I'm going to keep stamping and embossing on the package, and then I'll bring it back at the end and show you how I'm going to finish it off. It's a final look at some of the ideas that I had. This is the finished stamped and embossed package with a couple little jingle bells, the pom-pom Christmas tree, the drawn-on card with the baker's twine and the bottle brush tree, a fabric package, a very simple package just with a bright tag. Over here, just some kitchen twine and a Santa stamp. A little fancier packages for my mother. So I hope this video gave you some ideas about simple and inexpensive ways that you can festive up your Christmas packaging. So drop me a comment below. Do you use gift bags? Do you wrap? What's your favorite style of wrapping? Do you like a more primitive or farmhouse, simple country, or do you like the glitter and the foil and the bows? So be well, be healthy, be blessed, and have a wonderful day.